What's up, everybody? Dear Albie, live, YouTube. Jules is here.
Hello, everyone.
Nat's here.
Hi.
Nat with a light.
Yes, I told you guys.
We had a lot of
I
comments.
promised.
We had a lot of comments last episode, and obviously this is, comments are new for us, especially the in-moment comments that are coming. But I got one from Chris that said, Nat's camera looks like she accepts tips.
That's a very Chris thing to say. Let him know I'm always accepting tips.
It was, he was the first one. The very
Of course
first
he
one
was.
to jump in and be accepting of the tips. But I mean, hey, look, we had a very fun time doing this last week. And we know, as we said, we're jumping into this. It's a bit of a work in progress. We want to get everybody exposed and into this. There's different rules. There's so many things that happen.
Mm-hmm.
But how are we feeling? Let's catch up. Just us. Jules, what's new? What's happening?
What's new? I went to a wedding this weekend with Honey Boy.
Woo!
Wedding. It was his college friends, so I got to meet all the people he went to school with, and it was a great time. But yeah, thought the community give a little update on that. Also, I'm buying a reformer. I'm really going into the whole Pilates world. I'm purchasing my own reformer. It's gonna.
That's an investment.
It is an investment, but I feel like I will. Once I start doing privates, it will eventually pay for itself. So
yeah, that makes sense. Good for you.
Thank you.
I feel like, it's you get very, very intense, with this. It's kind of like vegan for the body. It's a lot going on. Nat, how about you? What's going on? What's the latest?
Not too much to report. You guys know I'm a big TV watcher, like a big binge watcher. I recently watched something for the first time ever, which is rare. I usually am pretty on the pulse. I watched The Leftovers for the first time ever. It's like a 10-year-old show. It's Justin Theroux. Hottest point in his life, probably. So hot. Like, shirtless so much. But that's not the plot of the show. The show is about if 2% of the world's population disappeared, and the show is about all the people that are still here, but it's not religious. It's not like a biblical thing, but it was only 3 seasons, pretty quick watch, and it's just a lot of reflection on grief, connection, healing, evolving. I really liked it. It's a bummer. I had to keep taking breaks. It's not an upbeat
We're being
show.
a bummer now. We're going to change this. We're going to talk about something.
Well, don't ask me what I'm up to.
I'm pretty sure my mother-in-law got into that. We call that a show, 2% of the world's population disappearing. But I mean, I feel like I'm just 2. There's a whole thing with that. We had some comments coming in. Hello, Salima. Hello, Angie. Angie's excited that she made it to the live. Guys, we touched a nerve last show. I got a bunch of emails in. DearAlbieMailbag@gmail.com. There's still at gmail.com. There is still time. We had people hitting us up on the gram. We had people hitting us up here in the comments. It's fun because I don't know. There's something about this talking through it face to face that I feel like the chimes were a little more lightning rod this year. This format, people were getting very, very into it, and I feel like it's going to spark some arguments, which is fun. Couple things. So if you missed last week, Natalie, it looks like went back to her old lighting for a second.
Oh my God, I'm back. I'm not.
No, you're good. You're good. So if you missed last week, the crux of it was, getting into and getting involved with your kids' dating life. In this particular situation, we had a community member write in and say they caught their son's girlfriend out with another guy, and was it messed up of them not to, number one, should she tell her son, or should she confront the girlfriend's mom, who also happened to be a friend of hers? She ends up confronting her. We got a little update. It was kind of a 2-parter. It didn't go super well. And the other mom was like, listen, know your role. You just stay right there, kind of a thing. Don't say anything. And she was debating, now is she messed up for not telling her son? This has gone nuts. The community's been all over this. We had a ton of chimes. Jules, you go first. What was social talking about? What do we have there on that and anything else in the show?
Well, people were agreeing with what Natalie had to say. they said, like, there's no point in getting involved with the other parent. You just got to tell your kid. And like at the end of the day, he's going to do what he's going to do. So the best thing you can do as a parent is just tell them what you saw, but don't get the other parent involved, because what's going to happen is exactly what happened. The woman got defensive, and she clearly knows what her daughter's doing. So community was Team Natalie.
Okay. So we had a
Thanks,
couple,
guys.
we have some chimes. Dear Albie, my parents once did this to me when I was younger, and I refused to speak to them for months. She has already, talking to mom, has already potentially gotten her son to an potentially embarrassing situation. If anything, she should apologize to her friend, let it be, and let her son learn on his own. I got some divisive stuff. I didn't get really one way or the other on this. I got a handful that were like that she should just leave it alone and apologize to the friend. I think the logic of that is kind of walking back the potential embarrassment of getting involved in your son's stuff and that becoming part of the story. Just kind of, because it's like we were saying before, it seems like he's already getting played out. So I don't know.
Yeah.
Then we had somebody that came in, Dear Albie, she has to tell him, no matter what, you have your kids back always. He will remember this forever. If his mother knew and allowed him to get embarrassed by his girlfriend playing around behind his back.
Yeah.
It's pretty split. This one, though, I changed mugs today.
Oh.
This comment, though, I wanted to dwell on a little bit because it makes us look inside ourselves. We have to reflect on ourselves on this. And I was kind of taken aback. That's going to be a new thing here, too. Taken aback.
Great.
We're talking about that one a lot. Dear Albie, love the show, but quick question, not so much a chime. What advice would you have given the other mother if she wrote in that her daughter's boyfriend's mother had contacted her about seeing her daughter out in public with another guy? Wouldn't you already think that this community member was absolutely crazy? I feel like we would all have eaten her alive, which makes me ask two things. Are we biased based on who writes in? And are we biased backing community members? Part of me hopes we are, but I think we need to give it straight. Love you guys. Trisha, tell you what. I actually think we got a lot of pride in the fact that we're not super biased towards the community when they write in. I try and be pretty honest, but then again, obviously, we're a community for a reason. Yeah. We try and just give the best advice, no matter what it is, for the best of everyone involved, okay? But the crux of this that's super interesting is, let's flip it. If the other mother wrote in and said, hey, my daughter was out with a guy, okay? And her boyfriend's mother, who's a friend of mine, called me and confronted me about it, okay? I feel like we'd be putting up our dukes. We'd be ready for war with this.
I don't know, because I feel like we kind of played a little bit of devil's advocate on the last episode as well. I don't think hearing that I would be like, wow, that lady's crazy. I think my advice to her would be like, you got to just tell your friend, you guys have to stay out of it. I don't think I would necessarily have a negative connotation about the overly involved mother. I think my advice would remain the same, that like neither of them should get involved.
I kind of feel like, well, let's put it this way. If that question came in, but she was acknowledging the fact that her daughter was, in fact, okay, messing around on the other boy, on her boyfriend, whatever, okay, is it a blanket, you back your kid no matter what kind of advice move with that? Like high school relationship, all that other stuff. Do you look at that as a blanket statement? Hey, no matter what happens, this is your kid and you have their back.
I think you can tell your friend, hey, mind your business. And you can go home and tell your daughter, hey, maybe we should have a conversation about respectful relationships. I think both of those things can happen.
Angie's saying, I agree with Natalie. The adults shouldn't get involved. Well, are we now, am I messed up? Because in looking at this too, when they say, "Here, look, are we biased on who writes in?" It's kind of like, in a strange way, two sides of the same coin. Are we backing up community members just for the sake of them being community members and things like this? Because if you really look at it like shoe is on the other foot, I, in that write-in, would be like, that's so messed up of the mom to have reached out to you. Now, in fairness, okay, we didn't get to her fast enough, but there definitely was a tone from all of us of don't reach out to the mom. Like, do not do that, do not do that, do not do that, right? Mm-hmm. So I feel like we would have said that anyway, but we didn't necessarily go off on her saying, oh my God, why did you do that? To me, that's a little spilled milk, right? So what's the point? But that's kind of where I start jostling with it on whether or not she should tell her son now, because you're part of the narrative now. Like you are part of the story. You are part of the lore.
Yeah.
You know? So it's interesting in how that can kind of play out.
Well, that's why I'm saying she definitely has to tell him now, because again, if this comes out to the son that his mom knew, he will not forget that. Even though in the grand scheme of life, 20 years from now, I'm sure they'll be over it. But like, I think that that's a really hard betrayal as a teenager when it's already such a difficult time. You're building up trustful relationships with the adults in your life. She's got to tell him before he finds out from either his girlfriend or the girlfriend's mom.
Well, look, I think now she does have to own it. I will be honest, all the way. We have a live chime. We got Salim in here. So she's chiming in about the first time she got caught sneaking out of her house. We had Nat, who was kind enough to share how she was a sneaking out and sneaking in enthusiast in at one point in her day. So we have it right here live. Salim is saying, I forgot to chime about my story about the time I got caught sneaking out of my house. Let's just say my brother was a newborn. My boyfriend was a server. I set my alarm for when he would be getting off of work. Well, my mom woke up and went to go make my baby brother a bottle, heard my alarm going off, went into my room and saw I wasn't there. She immediately started to message me on my beeper.
Oh, wow.
All right. First of all, moment of silence for beepers.
It's 1995 in this story.
Did you have a beeper, Nat?
No, I wasn't old enough. I'm a couple years younger than you, so I just missed it.
I didn't have a beeper, but I remember beepers.
I remember beepers. My mom had one because she worked in a hospital.
The light up ones.
Yes.
That was a thing for a minute.
The clear ones, yes.
Beepers had such a moment that back again in the day, the boardwalk prizes at the Jersey Shore there was a moment where it was not all stuffed animals. There was a time where the hottest things on the planet, you knew what that was because that was a prize, like the jackpot of the jackpot of the jackpot kind of thing on the wheel, right? Mm-hmm. And I remember there was this one game that would be mobs because they had beepers, and they just had them.
Wow.
That's back in Radio Shack days. So anyway, she messaged me on my beeper. Needless to say that my boyfriend's friend drove me home thinking she could speak with my mom and smooth things over. That did not go very well.
No, I bet not.
Yeah, she got me a beeper. Beepers are the type of thing I could see. I could see Gen. Well, I guess now it's Gen Alpha, right? I could see Gen Alpha being like, you know what? I want to bring back beepers and Tamagotchis. I could definitely see that.
I just recently got a Tamagotchi, like a new one.
They still make them?
They make them again. Yeah. They sell them at Urban Outfitters, in case anyone's curious.
Okay.
I'm not sitting around using it, but it was nostalgic.
I think
it's always just laughing at me.
Why not? No, we're here. So we had a couple questions that kind of same vein. This is what I mean about touching the nerve. And I like this because I think that we're in a very unique time for these types of problems because there's an actual overlap and understand. Like when social media came out and all of that other stuff, there was a technology gap between, I think, the parents that we had and us, trying to keep up with that. We had advantages. We just knew what to do, right?
Yeah.
This is different because we have kids getting on the same platforms that in some cases we were already on, and know how to use and all that other stuff and see it very, very differently on how to use them. So this was a fun one. This one came in. Dear Albie, Love the show. I want to get the community's thoughts on this. My son had a girlfriend for a couple of years, and about 6 weeks ago, she broke up with him, and he was understandably very down on himself. The girl and I had gotten along fine while he was dating her, and we even went on a handful of trips together, during which I would post photos of everyone together as a group. Jules, we were just talking about this.
Yeah.
During which we would post photos of everyone together as a group. Well, I guess she must have started dating someone new, because about a week ago, she sent me a message asking if I wouldn't mind taking down any posts that had her in them. I did not get involved in their relationship at any point, but I feel like I shouldn't have to deal with whoever this new guy is and him requesting that I remove pictures off of my page. This is just an assumption, but I don't think I should have to bend to what this girl is asking me to do. Is this an insane thought to have on my end, or should I just not deal with the drama and take it down? I haven't responded to the girl directly yet. I don't know what to do. Help in all caps.
No, absolutely not.
Absolutely not what?
There's an untag feature. You just remove yourself from the photos. You can remove photos that you're tagged in, that you repost or whatever. Like, that's why they're there. To go out of your way to ask your ex-boyfriend's mom to take you off, delete the photos. So you sound like an idiot. You do.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I would be absolutely not. I wouldn't even respond to her.
Yeah, I agree.
And if your man has an issue with photos of you with your ex-boyfriend from a previous relationship, that's a red flag in my mind, because everyone has a past.
The redder flag is, why is your new boyfriend going on your ex-boyfriend's mom's page? Because that doesn't organically occur.
So I love this.
You're not usually getting on that page. He went and had to look for the mommy's page.
But these things have to be happening. These things have to be happening, because I feel like, I don't think, and maybe we didn't think about this, I don't think that these kids look at the idea of parents having social media as like they're not fair game. As a matter of fact, I think there's and this is probably even more twisted, there's probably a lot of parents. There's got to be some cringy things that parents are like commenting.
Let me tell you something. Facebook came out when I was a junior in high school, I think. And I think I got one when I was a senior in high school. And my mom was obsessed. She played Farmville. She was up in Facebook, right? She would go on Facebook and add my friends. Sometimes, in a lot of cases, people she'd never met. She just heard me talking about them. And like comment on their stuff. And like in other cases as well, message them. Like private message them like, hey, happy birthday. They didn't know who she was. Anyway, you want to talk about cringe parental social media behavior? I've experienced it all.
I just feel like there has to have been at least a handful of parents fighting with exes on social media. It's had to have happened. Is there a page almost dedicated just to that? Jules, you're way more into this stuff than I am.
That's a good question. I mean, I know a story too of someone close to me, and their partner at the time had an issue with them not being posted at all, even though
like by the parent, or what do you mean?
By the parent. And like, not that it was purposeful, like not that they did it on purpose, but it was just more so like they didn't even follow the parent. So they didn't want to follow the parent. They didn't want the parent to follow them because they posted kind of like, risque photos, and makes sense that you don't want to follow, you don't want your boyfriend's mom following you if you're doing that, but still had an issue if they weren't being posted on the mom's account. So, I'm sure we'll get so many stories now that I think about it.
Think about it. We're built to react. We just are like our and I think that the generation after ours are built to live everything. That's actually what the next question is about. Are built to live everything online, like quite literally everything. So I don't think there's as much. You had the lengths you had to go in high school, okay, to get everybody to see a picture of somebody. It was like a chain email. You got to print that stuff out, put it up in the bathroom, kind of thing. You really, really had to fight for that. kind of, you know, and it's like the beeper. The amount of work when you called a beeper, even that was required.
How did you even? Because you have to dial the beeper number, but then you also have to
You had to
dial
type
a message.
Yeah. So you
right?
had to type, you had to dial the beeper. Okay. And then you had to dial the phone number. And then like the first kind of iteration I remember was like, you had options to say, is this an emergency, call now, and make it vibrate no matter what was going on. You know, like there was actually a function, I'm pretty sure, that you could have your thing on vibrate and it could like override it. You have to, yeah. And then you'd have to do it like texting at the time. You know, you would have to go in and then, you know, type in the amount of like, you know, if you wanted to get to C, you typed, you know, what, 2, right? 3 times.
Wow.
So you had to do.
That's awful.
And we did it. And we were
I
like,
bet
wow,
you did.
this is incredible. Like you can get right to them.
I still can't believe we even had to text
turn
with
the
T9.
comments back. Guys, we're learning. Okay. I turn the comments back on so now they can see them on the screen. But yeah, there's a lot happening with this. All right, look, on this, what do I think you should do? Look, I feel like you don't respond at all. I don't think engaging at all with somebody is a good move. I think this is the kind of thing too that maybe you could bring it up to your son and be like, hey, because I just feel like in these kind of moments and in relationships in general with parents, like if you've got issues with somebody you're currently dating, okay, I think you should bring it up to that person, you know, him or her, whatever it is, and say, hey, look, you know, your mom did XYZ, your dad did XYZ. I feel this type of way about it. And then you kind of move from there. The reaching out, look, you know, she didn't say, oh my God, my new boyfriend wants you to take that down. But I kind of feel like she's feeling froggy just by, you know, even like slightly mentioning, I think she's got another boyfriend. But yeah, I don't think you respond to this. And I think at one point or another, you know, it is kind of like that weird thing of, you know, do you keep photos up? Like, I think it's kind of one of those, it's out of the back of your mind kind of thing when you're not thinking of what's there. But there is that like photo album aspect of life. You know what I mean? Like where, what are you supposed to do? Like police that forever? If you're untagging stuff, like Jules said, that should be that. But I don't think you should have to take it down.
I don't either.
Gavin just chimes, just block the ex-girlfriend and then she will automatically be untagged from all the pictures. Smart.
That's a way. Why not?
Block is.
I feel like block's extreme. Block in and of itself is kind of like, you know. Well, you know what? I think then at that point, maybe parents, just as a general rule, don't follow anybody.
I think parents should not be social media friends with the partner unless it's serious. But she said they were dating for a couple of years. So, I mean, fine, I guess. But also, why do you want to be, unless they're like adults and they like are engaged and they're like getting married and she's going to be your daughter, like, why do you need to be on her social media? I don't know. But yeah, I don't think people block enough. I think we should block more. Block everybody.
Jules, I mean, and bringing up kind of what you were talking about, where somebody had an issue that the person they were dating's parent wasn't posting them enough, like wasn't posting them, period, or they were like cutting them out of photos.
It wasn't posting them, period. Like just didn't, and the parent though didn't post a lot. Like she wasn't a Facebook mom. She wasn't actively posting pictures of her kids. She just felt like she should have been in some photos at all and believed that she should have been framed in photos around the house.
Okay.
Did she bring that up to the mom?
No.
Oh,
okay.
I had high hopes for that. That got me excited for a second. That, I mean, you know, well, hey, look, the world's changing. This is a fun one. And I've got a kind of unique take on this one. But here we go. Dear Albie, not sure if this is getting involved with my kid's dating life, but here we go. My daughter started dating a boy on and off while she was in high school, well into her college career. She's since graduated, and since being home, they've started to rekindle their relationship. After college, at some point, he decided he was going to go full-time being an influencer, and he has started to live stream. With some success. It's not about me. There you go. He's having some success. Good for him. She always talks about supporting him, his dream, and how she sees a future together since he has matured over the years in their relationship. But I have always been uneasy about this guy, if I'm being honest. My daughter mentioned that he wanted to take her out and live stream during the date. I told her absolutely not, and we got into a huge argument about it. I am just trying to save her from any potential embarrassment when this inevitably goes sideways. But am I coming off too overprotective? She said that not supporting him in this way will impact her relationship, and that I must not trust how she carries herself if I'm worried about how she would act on camera. How can I explain this to her in a way that does not make me sound too controlling? Then she just says, don't mention my name. And then says bye, and it's like a lot of nice stuff. The emojis. Fun. This is fun.
I think.
So hold on. I might be out of this. Okay. Is like streaming as a general rule, doing everything live, is that a thing now? Like, are we beyond posting? Are we just like, hey, we're live and we're walking through the mall?
If he's trying to be an influencer and he's doing live streams, and he's probably doing them fairly frequently, and it probably is day to day, like, come with me to go to the grocery store, come with me, I'm going to the gym, like that kind of stuff, so they can like build up, hopefully, I guess, an audience. So that's whatever. I don't like it.
Yeah, it gives me the ick.
It's very icky, and it's very like women are just expected to like believe in their loser boyfriends until they're not a loser. But then,
hold on. Explain that. Get in that detail for a second.
Oh God, yeah.
Let's devil's advocate this for a second. Okay.
Cool.
What do you mean, Nat?
Sure. So
that was very blanket what you just said.
That's my baseline feeling. We can evolve outward from there.
Okay. But, so give me an example.
Let's start with she just finished college. Let's say she's 22 years old. Okay. They were on and off in high school, already off to a crash and burn start.
Oh, well,
Great.
This is tale as old as time. First of all, the on and off high school, you go to college, and then that's
exactly. So if we really just Tarantino'd this thing and went right to the end, we can just say she's going to do whatever she's going to do, no matter what anybody says, because she's in love and she believes in him. Awesome. Loved being 22. It's an era that everyone has to just get through, I guess. But what I mean by women are expected to love their loser boyfriends until they're not losers anymore is we are expected to believe in their potential, support them, not think it's losery that they're trying to be an influencer, and like not making any money probably, and like wanting to live stream the date, which essentially the live stream is a means to making money. So you want to post our date while we're on a romantic date to get your income. That's gross. It's all just like, we're just supposed to let them be losery. And then you know what happens if they do have a come up? They leave you.
So hold on. If you were really, really into somebody, first of all, the amount of views that you would have gotten if you live streamed when the guy pooped himself would have been incredible.
Fair
but
enough.
Let's say that you're in a relationship for years. Okay. Years. It's going great. Okay. Out of nowhere, honey goes right up to Jules and says, you know what? I think I'm going to start live streaming. Now, they're not looking at it like let's just say they've got a secure job. They just want to start live streaming. That's what they're going to do. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's almost like kind of, not that it's like anything else, but they're like, I'm quitting my job and I'm live streaming, whatever it is. Okay.
Mhm.
This is my dream. I want to run with it. Is there an issue with that versus if he was like, all right, I'm quitting my job and I want to open a sandwich shop? Like, where's the line?
Well, I think, yeah, if he's keeping his job and wants to do the live stream, I think that you can kind of from there be like, okay, like it's a passion. If he quits his entire job to do it, then I think that's when you really got to step in and say something. But you don't want to hurt their feelings. You don't want to hurt their feelings. Especially
Too bad. They don't care about hurting our feelings. Men always want to squash any of our little hobbies that give us joy. And we're afraid to hurt their feelings by saying, hey, not everybody can be an influencer, babe. Not everybody has the face for it, you know?
It says
What
here
can we
with some,
say?
it says here with some success. Now, all right, couple of things.
That's debatable, I'm sure. But
If the daughter seems now bought in, right? Like she's supporting him. Now,
We've lost
so that's
her.
your daughter. Are you going to go off saying that this guy's a loser? Is that the position that he's a loser? You're backing a loser, whole thing. Because here's my issue. Okay. Do you give the same advice then that if she starts dating him and he was a huge influencer already, kind of a move?
no, I wouldn't trust that person. I wouldn't trust
Why?
that guy. Because the ego on a guy like that, it's got to be linked directly to adultery. Look, I'm sorry. I'm very invested in the psychology of how people are operating these days, and I'm very skeptical. But if it was my daughter, no, I wouldn't say, this guy's a loser, whatever. I would express my concerns, but she's gonna do what she's gonna do. She's a little baby. She has to learn her lessons.
First of all, a couple things. Okay. I'm learning to play with this right now as this is happening.
I can finally read them.
Okay. So I didn't listen to a word you just said. That's first.
Awesome.
Okay. But really
That's
quick.
not new.
Really quick. Really quick. This isn't the first time. I got to completely disagree with this because I feel like you're making a lot of this right now, Nat. Okay. About this concept of like backing a dream kind of a thing. I can get behind that. All right. All day long. Okay. If you're going to be consistent the entire way through and just say, hey, look, you don't want to put yourself out there publicly, which I got news for you. The way that this is coming up, all right, the way the mom's writing about this, okay, it seems to me that she's got a lot bigger of a problem with the idea of you being out there, being seen in public with a guy you might not be with for that long, and potentially, I don't know if she's worried about embarrassing herself or whatever, either way, that I got to be honest, the underbelly of this, is there a world, let's put it this way, is there a world where our generation and the parents of these kids, okay, have to accept that this stuff is a lot more normal to them than it ever was to us, okay?
That's what I'm saying, yeah.
But hold on though. And having a moment in time when you were with somebody live on the internet forever, okay, it's something that these kids already have in the back of their mind. You could debate all day long whether or not they're old enough, right, to understand how that works. And that to me is where the parenting thing comes in, and that's where the answer is. We should get to it. But obviously, like, I think it's a lot more about the idea that, maybe we have to evolve a little bit too, because you go out and ask these kids right now what they want to be when they grow up. It's something like 30% of kids in high school are like, no, I want to be a streamer or an influencer.
That's why the kids can't read.
I'm with them all. I'm with you all day long. That's not good. But if that's a stat, okay,
Mhm.
it's kind of like saying, hey, don't date the popular kid in school X amount of years ago, because it's really all we're really talking about is just attention. It's going to live there forever. I get all that. But I think that's what you have to attack. I don't think it's the right way to go about it and say you're going to support a loser gig.
No.
I think you're coming off a little mean. What if the guy said he wanted to quit his job and write a romance novel?
Listen, I think there's a little bit of a difference there And also with the previous sandwich shop example, those are business models that you can present a plan and say, this is my plan. These are the steps I'm going to take. I'm going to go get a loan, and I have a friend. He's going to be a partner, and we found a space, and we're going to rent it, and we're having the inspector come, etc. Yada yada. 1, 2, 3, ABC. You're like, I'm going to be an influencer, and I just got a new iPhone. Oh, and I'm leasing it. Whoa, 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 whoa. That's not a plan. I'm not impressed. I don't feel safe. You're not my protector, my caretaker.
I think to me, look, and she asked several questions in this. Number one, she says, how does she explain this in a way that doesn't make her sound controlling? Okay. I think that there is this permanence that exists now in the things you do, right? The same way as finding like an old tweet and all these other things, that you really got to drive home to your kids at an early age in everything that they put out there, everything. Okay. Mm-hmm. In a situation like this, you got to remember, like, spend 10 years on TV, there's never really, there were plenty of people that like would not have been into at all, even a little bit entertaining the idea of, hey, like, I want to get on TV. I think it was a lot more of a thing, or a lot more of a problem, right? Having to adjust to the idea of people might want to date you so they can get on the show to begin with, right? That's thing, right? I think you're seeing a lot more though now that it can work the other way. I want to put out my life because whatever, right? And these things are going to live out there in a way that is an environment that you cannot control. Same thing with editing on TV, but these things happen like in the moment immediately, right? And it's all kind of to the will and the whim of like the person who's putting it out there in the first place. So when I look at all this, I think it's important to understand, number one, how you're coming off to your kid to say, hey, look, it's not like you can't handle yourself in public, but you're not in control of the situation. No matter how into this guy you are, you're just not in control with it. Okay. But at that point, especially if she's out of college and she's in her, young 20s, you know what you're doing. Jules, we were just talking about the Barstool Down the Shore live show. Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah. Those are people, right, that are in a bar, crowded. There's a camera and there's lights. Okay. And there is no shortage of other people that aren't shy to get in front of that camera. It's not that different. It's really not. So like this stuff is kind of everywhere. So I think it's just about you either instill this stuff in the back of your kid's head, and then you got to trust that they're smart enough to roll with it. I don't think there's any other way to do it. You can have that conversation about supporting a guy's dream. I'm a little more old school. I like the support thing.
I think that's lovely.
Angie,
I think it's foolish.
Angie, I really think they should teach social media etiquette in schools. I agree with that. I think that media trained, you really are just doing whatever in front of the camera.
Yeah.
What's that like being media trained out?
To be honest, it's weird. I don't even totally remember it, to be honest.
Yeah.
There's a lot
I wonder,
you don't like stay in a classroom. It's,
I wonder if it's different now though, because I know like if you see some people that are on like reality shows now, maybe from season 1 to season 2, they are clearly like heavily media trained, like in between those 2 seasons. Mm-hmm. Where did you guys have like formal like meetings about that, or
there would be, let's put it this way, it never like ended. There would be things that came up where you'd always kind of get a refresher on like certain things you should or shouldn't say or were encouraged to say or whatever. And then there were things that while you were promoting, you were trained to say, like, make sure you're ending on this note, kind of stuff. And there were certain people that were better at it than others. Let's just put it that way. So the social media aspects of it and everything were really weird because they were becoming powerful tools while the show was airing. This is a very just different time and generation, right? Where like so many of these things, not that you can't train for, right? But like it's going to hit you differently at a different age and how you're motivated by things. So if you have someone where here's where to me, this question gets like dangerous, right? if you've got a kid that's in a relationship with somebody and they're obsessed with their boyfriend, right? And they're getting put in situations that make them uncomfortable on camera and under the guise of supporting them. Huge problem. And I think it's really, really tough to see the forest for the trees at any age, but especially when you're young, like in not knowing how little these moments matter. And maybe look, you know what, even as I'm saying that, it's a little weird. Like the amount of times I had conversations where I would be told by either somebody that's older than me or somebody in my family, whatever it was, parent, aunt, uncle, whatever, that, hey, the feelings you have now you don't even know what life is going to be. No one cares. No one's really paying attention. You can have an embarrassing moment in high school now that goes viral and lives on the internet forever. And then, you're to the point where, and vice versa, where you can become almost a pseudo celebrity overnight, and nobody is prepared for that. It's not going to hit people. It's not going to hit any two people the same. So I don't know how you get around that, and are you almost influencing your kids too much to be like, what are you supposed to be, a hermit?
Yeah.
The actual cat going on.
I'm sorry, guys. I tried to catch you while they were napping.
We had somebody come in, cute topic in live stream, but I feel like in order to deal with all the topics being discussed, I'm going to need more of Caroline's recipes. That's going to happen. There's going to be a lot of things going on. There's plenty of recipes. Ain't no shortage of eating happening over there. But look, I also don't think it comes off too overprotective, but you're in a weird spot, like, drawing the line between, the emotions of your kid and honestly, like, I think the more time goes by, the more conservative I get about things. Like I went to spring break in college. I don't know that I would be even a little bit comfortable with my daughter on spring break.
Absolutely not. I couldn't imagine. When I have friends that have small children, but they're like school age, so they are like out of their sight physically for several hours a day. I don't think I could handle it. Even just them at school, even just not being in the room with them, like being like, okay, you're all right, I can see you. I can't leave the cats for more than a couple hours, which is probably totally normal, I think. But letting like your teenage kid go to, where do you go to spring break? Miami, Mexico,
Punta Cana,
like that.
I
don't think
Mexico.
I could do it.
Mexico was the move. Yeah,
I don't think I could.
It's all there. Hey, crazy world out there, guys. Dear Albie, mailbag@gmail.com. This was fun. We'll be there with you next week. This show will be up on line on the pod as always. Appreciate you guys. Hit us up on Instagram, hit us up in the comments, tell your friend, share. Guys, it's important. The community's returned. We're back. Are we having fun so far? Any last minute stuff? Any last minute questions from the folks that are here and watching? This is fun. It's getting there.
Yeah, quickly.
It's a good time,
Oh, my 18-month-old daughter recently started daycare, and it's so hard to not be around her all day.
I bet.
Yeah, I can. That kind of gave me like a little bit of a weird jolt. Even thinking about that. Not for me.
See, that's what I'm saying.
But I don't know. Like I had daycare as a kid. Like it's not like I didn't, grow up that way, kind of a thing. I just think it's very different. It's just different. I don't know.
Yeah.
Or maybe we're just more paranoid or something.
I think that's it.
Yeah.
Who knows? Guys, appreciate you all. Catch you later.